Hello again, welcome back. Now, this month's key elections in Nepal have taken the Maoist party from underground guerrillas to elected governing body. But their election is only the beginning of the wider challenges facing the country. There are currently more than 30,000 ex-rebel fighters in camps around Nepal. For the past 10 years, many have known only armed struggle. 18% of registered former combatants are women. But no attempt has been made to rehabilitate them, and whilst living in these squalid conditions, they have little hope of finding a job or a husband. Just before the recent elections, Everywoman travelled to Chitwan, one of the biggest camps in Nepal, where we met Gayanu Tamang, who told us of her hopes for the future.
There were about 20 women in the platoon out of around 50. When the call came to fight, we women stood up for our freedom. We have sacrificed everything, our home and our families. The group became our family. I joined because I wasn't happy with the exploitation and the discrimination between the people in my village, which is just east of Kathmandu. There were no opportunities for women there, or even men. Joining up wasn't a difficult decision. I was about 16 when I joined the army. I used to love fighting. I don't know whether I killed anyone, but I might have in operations. Not directly, though. A woman has to fight on two fronts. One for her own freedom, and secondly for the people. But a man only fights for the rights of the poor and the people. And so there is a difference between a man and a woman. But there was no difference in behaviour towards men and women in the army. The party didn't discriminate and they saw everyone as equal. There was a woman who was captured and the army behaved badly towards her. But both men and women had to be mentally prepared, and so we were ready. Our training helped us to prepare just in case we were captured. We expected to be treated badly. If we were suddenly attacked and a woman wasn't able to escape or was in some difficult position, then in front of everybody, they would violate her. My husband's name was Jibanta. He was killed in an attack last year, just before the peace. I was 3 months pregnant when he died. He was just 22. Well, the government has now put us in this camp, and the army is being disciplined, and even the PLA is sticking to the rules. We have an understanding, and that's how we reach the peace process. But there has to be progress in the negotiations. The war that we women were part of was a fight for the freedom of the people. And we as women were privileged to be a part of that war. To be a woman and to fight felt good. It's a matter of pride for us. Earlier, when there was a war, we had to carry weapons and fight. And now there is peace. And I have to carry a baby, and that changes everything. Children are our torchbearers, and we can teach them a new lesson, our lesson. Women are definitely better off now. Earlier, they were stuck in their kitchens. It's not the case anymore. And women are fighting, and they have a voice. And together, as a group, if we move forward, then certainly we will be able to fight for our freedom and our rights. I absolutely believe that.
Well, the Maoists have won half the seats in the assembly, so it's hoped that women like Gayanu Tamang will soon have a better future. To Japan now, where the shadowy criminal gang members known as Yakuza were brought into the spotlight by a best-selling author. Yakuza have incredible tattoos all over their upper bodies to show their allegiance. Shoko Tendo is the daughter of a Yakuza boss, and she wrote a book about her life and struggles. She too is covered in tattoos, as Everywoman's Julin Ong found when she met the writer in Japan.
Since my childhood, I have grown up as a daughter of a Yakuza, and I have seen the good and the bad of the Yakuza world. This is the world I belong to, which is where I can be truly free and be myself. the world of tattooed men.
Yakuzas are members of traditional criminal societies in Japan. There are some 85,000 known Yakuzas, and many of them have full-body tattoos to show their allegiance to their gangs. Tendo's father was a gang leader based in West Japan.
I knew my father and people around him were different. They looked scary, and even when they wore suits, tattoos were visible from their arms. I started behaving like a delinquent during my spring vacations before I started junior high school. I used to hang out downtown at night, sniff glue and smoke cannabis. That's all we did. Once, I got into a fight and ended up getting arrested on a charge of assault. I was sent to detention cell.
When Tendo was 16, the family fell on hard times. Her father went bankrupt, and Tendo offered to pay off the family debts, but she paid a high price.
I was taken to seedy hotel rooms, dragged and raped every day. When the men were in a bad mood, they would beat me up. As my father was in debt to these men, I didn't have any choice but to keep going. At least they gave me money for it.
On one occasion, Tendo was beaten up so badly she ended up needing reconstructive surgery. She's had her nose broken twice and her head cracked open a few times.
After our family home was eventually seized by the government because of the debts, we all had to live separate lives. From then on, our adversity started. We didn't know much about outside world, so we were tossed about by the storms of life. That was our fate.
In her early 20s, Tendo decided to tattoo the top half of her body in Yakuza style.
Rumor had it that she was a hooligan. When I met her, she was just coming out of it. She's the sort of person who is determined not to lose. I think that was why she decided to come to me. It shows her conviction that she doesn't regret taking a new path of life.
I was fed up with my lukewarm attitude to life, and I wanted to mark the end of my turbulent past. My father was a Yakuza boss, and I inherited his personality and his DNA. I belong to my father's world of tattooed men, and this is where I can truly be me.
Tendo finally broke away from the Yakuza world, but having a full-body tattoo is taboo in Japanese society. It limited her opportunities in life, especially in jobs and marriage.
Japanese people associate tattoos with members of the Yakuza organization. When they see one, they get alarmed and they avert their eyes. So I can only wear clothes that cover my entire body. I can only get a job through the connections of people that know who I am.
Despite that, Tendo has forged her own path as a writer. She's writing her second book about being a single mother. Tendo's daughter Komachi is currently looked after by her sister, while Tendo is trying to meet the deadline for her book. Her sister is also a single mother with 4 children.
I have received many letters from readers of my book who have various problems in their own lives to a greater or lesser degree. I also received letters from people in prison. These letters are all stamped with a cherry flower mark which means they were checked by prison wardens before they were sent to me. Everyone has been so kind, writing to me and giving me encouragement.
Well, just before we go, a quick roundup of the news making the headlines. Danica Patrick has sped into the history books, becoming the first woman ever to win an IndyCar race.
The lady is coming through. Danica Patrick wins at Twin Ring Motel.
Danica took the lead in the final 2 laps, beating all male competitors in the Indy Japan 300. In Yemen, a courageous 8-year-old girl has won freedom from a marriage she was forced into by her father. Nojud was given to a man 3 times her age who physically and sexually abused her. But Nojud refused to accept this life and went to court to get a divorce. An anonymous donor put up the money needed to buy her freedom. Now there's a growing campaign to get marriage laws in Yemen changed. And in Spain, the new cabinet sworn in by Prime Minister José Zapatero has more women in it than men. It's the first time in history that a European government has enjoyed a female majority, and this in the country that coined the word machismo. Spain has made huge strides in the name of gender equality in the past decade. The Prime Minister himself says he's an avowed feminist. Well, that's good to hear. And that's it from us. If you have any comments, drop us an email at everywoman@aljazeera.net. Until next time, from all of us here, bye-bye.